Welcome to today's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by Sean McKenna, National Sales Manager for Great American Insurance Group. Thanks for joining me, Sean.
Thank you, Jesse. Appreciate it, man.
No, absolutely, and especially coming in at the last minute to fill a slot here. So
No
greatly appreciate
problem, man. Always make time for my guy, Jesse.
it. Thank you. So, Sean, for those people who might not be too familiar with yourself, do you mind just explaining your career to date in equipment
Yeah,
finance?
absolutely, man. So, as you mentioned, National Sales Manager with Great American Insurance. I'm with our Specialty Equipment Division based here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I started with Great American back in March of 2015. Feels like light years away at this point, but I was brought on as a business developer. So that really consists of being an account manager and some sales work to that within our construction book. So I worked with equipment dealers, Bobcat, Doosan, Ditch Witch, and really it was good for me because I was able to learn the industry very well and very quickly. Going out in the field, meeting with the equipment dealers was a good start for me just because those guys were a ton of fun. And then past that, I got into sales about 2 years after, and here I am now.
And what drove you to join the organization in 2015?
Yeah, so I was working for a software company here in Cincinnati, and I was really looking for more of a career position instead of just a job. And I had multiple people working at Great American and noticed this opportunity come up. They actually reached out to me to see if this would be a good fit. But just knowing their experience of working at Great American, the work-life balance, the career that you can build there and the impact that you can have on their insureds, it was a no-brainer for me. And with our tight knit division, I've carved out a really good path for myself.
That's great. And
Yeah.
I guess we'll springboard on top of that. Let's talk Great American if you don't mind.
Yeah, so Great American Insurance. I have to look at my notes here, Jesse, but so we're a subsidiary of American Financial Group, and it was established back in 1872. And then, if my dates are correct, Carl Linder bought the majority shares in 1973. And since then, it's stayed in the family. So Great American is made up about 35 or so different divisions, and they all operate as a separate business unit. So very niche divisions and industries that we play in. And with us, we're specialty equipment, and we play really a lot within that equipment finance space, the construction world. And a lot of things that we're working on right now is just different products that we can take to market over the next 5 years to branch ourselves out of those industries and really grow the business long term.
Got it. No,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And I know at one point, I believe when I started, you guys were, I think, Premier Lease and Loan, something like that.
Yeah, small little agency out in Bellevue, Washington. And since then, it's grown exponentially. So we do have an office out in Seattle, which is our customer service arm, operations out there. And then obviously our main hubs here in Cincinnati with our underwriting, claims, our sales, business development. A lot of our officers are here in Cincinnati with it being our headquarters. So I do spend quite a bit of time out in Seattle visiting our folks out there, which is great. I'm sure you've been out there. It's a really cool part of the country and very different from the Midwest. So anytime I can get out there and visit with that group, it's always a good time.
No, no. And then, so as far as industry served, I know you said 35 different business units.
Mhm.
You just mind talking about those real quick?
Yeah, so I mean, we go from property inland marine, which is a lot of construction-based stuff. We're actually in the equine division, so that's a lot of horses that we insure. So if you look at the Kentucky Derby, some of those horses that were on there were actually insured by Great American. So I wasn't kidding about us being super nichey. And it's funny when I talk to some of my friends from college and they're like, "So what do you do?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm a sales manager for an insurance company." They're like, "Well, can I get personal home auto?" And I'm like, "No, that is not what we do. It is very nichey and tied to certain industries." But as you know, with our industry, relationships are huge. And I think over my past, what is it, 6 years or so, I've developed a lot of very good relationships within the industry. And when I first started as that business developer, one of our partners, Instacover, who we're the carrier on the back end. Shout out to Colleen Shelby in that group because they're fantastic. I was able to get involved with some of the associations like NIFA, just because we were partners with Instacover, so we worked a lot in that broker space. But yeah, man, it's going great, and I just think it's so nichey that a lot of people don't really know that insurance can get that specialized, which is fantastic for us.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought about the whole horse insurance, but it makes sense. I mean, considering some of those people pay seven figures for those animals.
It's very lucrative. We had a guy that worked with our division a couple years ago actually went and moved his whole family down to Lexington to take over a territory down there. And it's just crazy that within the insurance world, you just think it's personal, home, auto, that kind of thing. But there are so many different avenues, and it can be bland looking at a policy sometimes. But when you get a customer calls in saying, hey, you took care of me on a claim and you helped my business get back on its feet, that's the most rewarding part.
Nope, nope, and that makes complete sense. So, and a lot of what you were mentioning before and why you like this industry and what kind of just kept you in here,
Yeah.
revolved around being out in the field with, clients and
Yeah.
seeing your colleagues in Washington State, last 18 months, not being able to do that. What's that like for you, Sean?
I don't want to say it's been a struggle, but it has been. I think anybody in sales that is on the road and in the field and meeting with their clients, that's their bread and butter. I mean, the face-to-face is huge. So not only as an organization, but as, our sales group, we've had to adapt. And, some of the things that I've been able to talk with you on is different ideas of how to get in front of folks. And whether that's scheduling, a virtual happy hour or getting involved, especially within the associations, I think has been huge to replace some of that travel. Within NIFA and ELFA, we're both heavily involved, leaning on those groups to, help us get in front of, our prospects and clients on a virtual level was good. But I think I mentioned it at the previous event, Equipment Finance Cares event, that it almost felt like we were just getting fresh out of college and hitting the reset button a lot of the stuff. And I've learned so much about myself and just how the process goes. And I think listening and having empathy is so big these days. And I've learned a lot of it in the past year with the pandemic is that, we all want to sell, we all want to hit our goals, and we want to keep growing our career. But everybody that we're talking to is fighting a battle that no one knows about. And we need to understand that. And I think it's just the listening part and getting creative and not just wanting to throw up your products onto your clients and prospects. Because yes, we can help them, but there's a human side of this, man. And we have to understand that. And that's the biggest thing I learned is that, I can't wait to get on a plane and go see people. But the things I've learned during the pandemic, I think are going to help shape my career for the better in the long term.
No, and that's a great point. I think, we always say that people need to be well-rounded in
Yeah.
any profession. And like you mentioned, you touched on a key word there that I wholeheartedly believe in, and that's empathy.
Yep.
And I think that that's what this has done. I mean, for those people who don't have that side of them, their days are numbered
I
because
100% agree.
people have, people can do whatever they want now.
Yeah.
Proven that we can work remote. Obviously, I want to be in front of people.
Of course.
I enjoy this industry.
Mm-hmm.
I only handle so much while I enjoy talking to people on my computer. Like, I don't want to be in front of people.
Yeah, because the human interaction is just so big, and that's what we're used to. And hopefully, fingers crossed, we can continue with the face-to-face. I know we have the ELFA annual coming up later this year, and hopefully that doesn't change because I think we just looked at the registration list, and a lot of folks are eager to get out there. But like I said, fingers crossed, nothing changes in between now and then. We can keep getting back out on the road and start the new normal again if we can.
Yeah, one thing I enjoy kind of about this medium, like a Zoom or Teams
Yeah.
to meeting, is those when you were in those like bigger banks, right? And you went to give a presentation and the internet didn't work or something happened where you couldn't get something to work and they were all frustrated because they're like, what, you don't need your technology company and you can't even get your technology to work. And now when you're on these Zooms with people and it's like, turn on your camera, you're on mute. It's
Yeah,
like
you're on mute.
people that are just like
Yep.
damn baby boomers. It's
Yep,
like,
exactly.
get with the program.
I know. It's funny. My wife just started a new job about 5 months or so ago, and one of her coworkers got her this mug that just said you're on mute. And it's just such the phrase of last year and this year. And we've all had to adapt to it, and it's fine. But I'm itching to get out and see people. That's for sure.
I hate saying that.
I do too. Everybody says it. It's
Like I feel like there's some people that are looking to say it, right?
yeah, to be
Like,
funny, and it's like, no, I've heard it a million times. Move on.
through every now and then when I know those people, I just pretend I'm speaking.
Yeah. They put it on mute. Yep, I get it.
Like, actually, no, I'm not. I wanted to see if you'd say it.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
you brought up another good point in regards to industry involvement.
Hmm.
Mentioned NIFA, ELFA. I know you sit on ETech.
Hmm.
Actually, I think you're in charge of one of that. Can you just kind of talk about ETech, Sean, and
Yeah.
these
Yeah. So
have people watch these things too? Is they need to understand that it's a give to get industry.
absolutely.
So,
And that's the one thing I learned, Jesse, was with just starting out within Great American industry in 2015 and getting involved in NIFA, that getting in, right in the industry, I was nervous. I was hesitant because, you're meeting new people and you want to come off as the new guy that knows his stuff. But NIFA was a great opportunity for me to get my feet wet, because that, I think, is a little bit smaller association than ELFA, and it's more tight knit, relationship driven. I've gotten a lot of great relationships out of that and continue to support that. But I think really for me was ETech was a good driving force for change for me to really open up and get out of my comfort zone. So to give you an update, ETech, it's Emerging Town Advisory Council, and this was brought to the table a couple years ago. And our main goal is to get the next generation of leaders involved in the equipment finance space, because we were looking at it a couple years ago and saying there's really no committee, there's no involvement for some of the younger generation to get involved. And I will be, gosh, it's August right now, coming up on October will be 2 years sitting on that committee. And the exposure, the relationships, the getting out of my comfort zone has been tremendous. Some of the stuff that we're working on, we just had emergence last month. We had over 120 attendees to do a virtual conference. And, just seeing some of the people grow within their positions when, it was 2 years ago, they just got in, and where they're at now, that you can see that getting involved in it is so good for your career. But you might have mentioned this to me or somebody else, but you get out of this industry of what you put in. So that's something I took to heart, because being in sales is, we want to get exposure, we want to get out there, but it's also learning new ways to grow. And ETech's giving me the opportunity. I'm excited to come back for another 2 years to do another term for the ETech, and hoping it leads to more relationships and it leads to better opportunity for myself and Great American.
yeah, and it is additional work.
It is. Absolutely it is.
However, as a sales professional, is it really? It's
It's
like,
fun. It's fun work.
so you're telling me there's 15 of these people that I have to get on the phone anyways.
Yeah.
You're giving me a platform where I can be in front of them. Well, hypothetically speaking, in front of them. And the one thing I can say is working with Ken, Jeff DeCassola, Brian Inman. I mean, your organization has been a fantastic industry partner.
Right.
And you have some great personalities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that helps. That goes a long way when they provide you, the marketing dollars to go do these things.
Yeah, and that's, great point there, Jesse. Just those folks you mentioned, when I first got started, I was able to grow with them and see what they were doing in their past positions at Great American to get where they are. And that was one of the things that they put on me, was like, listen, if you want to grow, you want to be successful, get out there and do new things and explore new things, because that's the only way you're going to grow. And that's one thing I'm fortunate about with Great American, especially equipment, is that it's a tight knit division. And as you can see, we have some tenure within the industry. And I'm going to keep doing these things as much as I can to hopefully keep growing the business and growing my career within the space.
No, and that's good. And I know you're going to do a great job at doing that, Sean. So
I'm trying, man.
So, I also want to thank your organization for being one of our title sponsors for the Equipment Finance Cares, event. And thank you again for, sitting on the panel in Minnesota and then coming to the one that we have, we're less than 2 weeks away now,
Yeah.
Jersey.
Yeah.
Thank
It
you.
was a no-brainer for us in Great American. Especially with Great American Insurance, we are heavily involved within the community of Cincinnati. The Linder family is heavily involved with giving back in multiple fashions. So once we discussed that you were going down this route and getting this opportunity together for folks within the industry to get involved, but then what I thought was really cool, Jesse, was at the end of the event was just all of the folks getting up and talking about their charitable contributions to the industry and what they do. And that's some of the stuff I think that goes by the wayside that we don't hear enough about. And I just knew sitting there hearing the folks talk about the giving back and what it means to their organizations and themselves and their families, that I was in the right place, just because we're going to continue to support your event and your contributions to the industry and your charitable work with Laverne and what she's been doing, and especially in Minnesota, her telling her story, and that hit home with me, and just seeing that we all have the support behind this event now is great. And I had the full backing from my company, Great American, that we're going to continue to support and get involved. And I can tell you, just from the last event, I've already built some new relationships, and I've already stayed in contact with some folks, not even on the sales side, just people talking that, we're in the same career space. And, I can reach out to them and say, hey, I have an idea. I need a suggestion here. What do you think? And there's no hesitation on their end to pick up the phone and help me out, which is fantastic.
No, and thank you for those kind words. And to your point in regards to some of this younger talent that's coming up, I mean, some of the stats even show where it's not about the money; it's about what the bigger picture is for the
Right.
organizations that they're doing, and showcasing
Hmm.
what people are doing. Biggest challenge I have, quite frankly, is when you get on the phone with somebody and you're talking with them, like they don't want any, they don't want the spotlight.
No, that's what I love, man. Yeah.
And it's fantastic. However, it doesn't really. I'm like, but come on, like,
Help me help you.
right, exactly. But we'll get there.
Yeah.
But looking forward to the next event, and thank you again, to you and your organization for
Yeah, I'll be there and we're looking forward to it. So yeah.
excellent. So, going through a pandemic, Sean, working from home with some younger critters in the house. Let's talk about that. What does that do to you as a salesperson and a father?
Let's be blunt here, and let's just say that there were certain days when I wanted to put my face through a wall. Being honest, because I have two kids under the age of 4. My son was born on St. Patrick's Day last year, so about a week before the country shut down. And my wife works full time, has a great career in front of her. So we were both home with them, and there was no childcare. There was none of that. So we had to adapt quickly. And I noticed that what I thought 9 to 5 in the past is no longer going to be this way moving forward. So it was just a matter of adapting and making sure that we can get through this. But there were days where it was like, I don't know if I'm gonna see the light at the end of the tunnel. But then I also thought too that there are people out there, there's families out there that are getting affected by this pandemic a lot more than we are. We were lucky to keep our jobs. Other folks are losing their jobs or losing loved ones to the pandemic. So I really made us a point with our family is to put that into a positive light, to say, wake up, we have our blessings, we have our health, we have our jobs, we're fortunate, let's keep trucking, things are going to get better. And they have. I mean, we've worked around different ways with schedules, and my daughter's starting pre-K here next month, my son's in a good daycare, so we figured out schedules along the way. But I will say, initially, I'm sure for a lot of folks that are listening to this and they'll see this, is that it was tough, but we had to adapt, and we did. So
No, and then Rory was 2 at the time, and I couldn't imagine St. Patty's Day. Um, First of all, St. Patty's Day with that. That's amazing. It's a great birthday.
yeah.
But again, it's like, did you just keep? Is it him?
Him, yeah. So Kelly Patrick McKenna is my son's name. A little bit Irish,
Just a little bit Irish.
tiny bit.
That's awesome. Oh, Rory's Irish.
Yes,
So,
it is. Great name.
I was just thinking, like, I couldn't imagine like the panic, right, of that just before. And it's like, did you just wrap him in a bubble when you take him to his pediatrician appointments?
Yes, exactly. I mean, my parents came over a few days after to meet my son, and we had to like hold him up in the front window, man. So I mean, you look at that part, it's like, holy moly, this is a whole different thing. And that's not what we wanted for my parents to see their first, grandson to come into this world that they have to meet him through the front window of my house, but we had to adapt. And luckily, we came out okay, but it was crazy because I remember being in the hospital and I think we were there for a total of 19 hours. And they were just like, sorry, got to go. We're expecting a rush of COVID patients and your son's healthy. Call us if you have any issues. And it was just, hospital was a ghost town, really weird time. But I'm glad we're here now, almost a year and a half later and everybody's healthy. So
It's great. It's great to hear. So everyone who comes on here, I ask them a little fun fact about themselves. So tell us something interesting, Sean.
fun fact about myself. I don't know if it's a fun fact. I played baseball in college for 3 years. And I played baseball my whole life. I'm quite the nerd when it comes to baseball. Huge Cincinnati Reds fan. So Great American does have the naming rights to the ballpark for the Reds, which is great. I do fantasy baseball. That is so nerd, but it's a ton of fun. But I don't know if it's a real fun fact about me, Jesse. I do have two dogs, a yellow lab and a chocolate lab. So, that added to the mess last year too, with having everybody home and the hair everywhere. But yeah.
I can relate. We have a small farm here, so
Yeah.
I think we have like 4 iRobots
that are going around constantly.
So one of my fun facts is I've actually turned into a part-time iRobot Roomba mechanic.
Just fixing them nonstop.
I think it'd be easier for me just to sweep the amount of time I spend.
Yes, exactly.
Anyhow. So, and for those people who haven't been to your office, that one conference room overlooks the ballpark, if my memory serves me correctly.
Yeah, it does. So, there's multiple conference rooms within our building. And like I said, we have a huge presence downtown that overlooks the ballpark. I have been lucky enough to go to the very top floor of the building a couple years ago and really see the city from a different light. But yeah, man, it's a great space. So we're hoping that maybe sometime in the future we can join forces with the Equipment Finance Cares and bring a group out to Cincinnati and really experience, not only what the city has to offer, but, our building, get to a Reds game. Because I think it'd be a great spot because within Cincinnati, as you know, Midwest, we have, some other larger banks, Fifth Third, Huntington, that are all within the area. So could be a potential spot, man. Never know.
I would love to have it there because, then you just walk right over to the ballpark for
Yeah, it's perfect.
Or evening activities. And there's Skyline Chili. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. You've had it before, right? It's
food.
Yeah, and it's funny because if you're not from Cincinnati, people just think it's a mess, and I totally get it because I grew up on it. But it's funny, for the ETech, we had a networking event, and there were a couple folks on my table, or whatever, from Cincinnati, and others weren't, and we're all talking about Skyline, of how to build like a three-way and what it is. And a couple people not from Cincinnati are like, I wouldn't even try that. That sounds like a mess. But I'm like, you get a couple beers late night, it ain't too bad.
Especially Kentucky Bourbon Barrel Ale. I mean,
Yes, sir.
Only state I can find that stuff in. So
yes. So
awesome. So Sean, I know you've done a good job as far as talking about yourself and Great American. Just at the end of the day, why do business with Great American compared to other insurance companies out there?
Yeah, great question, Jesse. And I think the biggest reason is I can sit here and say we're compliant, we have the best programs, we're going to give the most revenue to your business, but I don't see a lot of our competitors doing what I'm doing right now. Getting involved with ETech. You talked about Jeff DeCosta. He's been involved in committees. We have other folks that are involved within the space. We really give back to the industry because we believe that's the best thing to do, not only from a relationship standpoint, but just from us growing relationships and continuing our brand within the space. Because giving back and being on these committees has helped not only myself, but others within our organizations grow. And that's something we take pride on. And I hope that, as we continue to talk to more prospects out there that we're working on, that they see the value in it, because I don't see a lot of our competitors doing it. And I think that what makes us stand out a little bit.
No, I mean, I can resonate. Like I said, been friends with the organization, I think, since I got in it in 2005. And I remember Brian Inman kind of just walked me around and introduced me to everyone, and
he's still here. Yep.
Still there.
Yep.
All right, Sean. Well, I really appreciate your time today, man, and look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks in New Jersey.
All right, Jesse. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
New York, I should say. I don't want to offend anyone. People over there get a little offensive about that.
I get it. I get it, man. But
Yep.
no, look forward to see you. Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks again, Sean.